If he wanted to, he would. By that same token, if you wanted to, you would too. Today I was watching on social media, everybody's all up about Taylor Swift and her engagement and how fabulously this man proposed to her, how he studied her, how he pursued her, how he learned her and learn how to be more communicative, become more present, and become more involved because he learned her, because he wanted to. By that same token, you can too. I'll give you an example. In our relationships, because everything here in feminist spaces has to do with self-mastery. And when you master yourself, when you understand what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and dare to change your behaviors that don't work for whatever it is you're trying to attain in your life, you put the effort in and you correct the behavior. I remember with my late husband, who was 10 years older than I was. I was in my 30s, he was in his 40s. I learned so much about relationships. I learned so much about communication. I learned the importance of having your own character and bringing your own values and making sure that the person you spend your life with aligns with those values, that you share them, and that you're also open enough to compart and share your own values and evolve in your interpersonal relationships. And it's so freaking interesting and so very important because I learned something very pivotal that changed how I communicated my relationships with my late husband because I am relatively aggressive by nature. I'm very open, I'm very loving, but I definitely express myself directly. And I did not learn how to express myself using my words and being very diligent and very conscientious about how I expressed myself when I was frustrated or disappointed or angry or elated or anything like that when I was younger. It was something that I learned in this pivotal moment in my relationship with my late husband. And this is what it was. I was acting a fool. I was crying. I was super upset. And I, was just yelling and screaming. And I remember that there was a point that my late husband looked at me and said, "That's enough. If you need 10 minutes to gather your thoughts, get your emotions in check, and then come back and continue our conversation so we're solely focused on being solution oriented to correct or improve or find a solution to this disagreement, then you take that moment." I will tell you that every time that you cry and you scream and you yell, it means that you don't know how to express yourself, which means you don't have that emotional intelligence or emotional maturity to be able to handle yourself. So taking those 10 minutes allows you to bring it together, get back in tune with yourself, figure out what it is that your triggers are, what it is that you need in order to be able to show up more authentically to yourself without all this drama. Can I tell you? It shut me down in such a way. And he also took the moment to share, to say that when you do this, it's very disrespectful to me. And I want to shut down because I don't know if you're mad at me, if you're mad at the situation. However, your actions during all of this are completely disrespectful. And it makes me not want to talk to you. Girl, that was a wake-up call in my life. And then I went and got therapy. Because during therapy, I learned that a lot of Black and brown women, or women who have just not been taught in their youth, that if you want to express your emotions and you're shut down or you're smacked or whatever it is that happens in our culture, it makes women, as they get older, not know how to express themselves in their relationships. And they end up crying and screaming and yelling because they were not taught or were not allowed to express their emotions. and be able to formulate a thought, state what it is that you want, and really understand how do you become more solution focused. I must say, and I'm not embarrassed about it because it is what it is, but I did learn something from that experience, and it has been part of everything that I do, not only when I was a life coach, retired life coach now, but also what I bring here within Feminine Spaces, is to understand that self mastery is paramount in your person. If you don't know how to do something and you want to learn how to do something, you definitely learn how to do something. And if you don't want to do something, you don't do it. Using that excuse that, oh, I was just never taught, it means you don't want to do anything different. You don't want to change the behavior. You don't want to do anything that's going to improve how you show up, not only for yourself, but also how you show up for others. And that is part of relationship wisdom. And it's also part of conscious living because it makes you conscientious about what you do, what you say, and how you show up, not only for yourself, but also for every single person in all of your relationships, whether they're your spouse, they're your children, whether you're with your friends, your colleagues, church members, book group, whatever it is. It all begins and ends with you. And I remember that pivotal moment when I learned that I can behave any way I want, but it doesn't mean that the people around me like it or are willing to accept it, which upon further self-reflection helped me understand why my previous relationship didn't work. And it had to do with me. So when I learned that improving my communication style will help me show up more respectfully and utilize the values that I have for myself, carry them and bring them into my future relationship, that is self-mastery. So as I'm watching all these things on social media and people are so jazzed about Taylor Swift's engagement, and the buzzword is that if a man wants to, he would. That's a fact. In addition, if you want to, you would too. That man was interested in her. He pursued her. He studied her. He was very calculated in how he went about showing his affection, loving her, studying her, understanding her quirks and how she works, and has opened himself up to understand how to engage, how to love, how to show up for her while keeping in his own person, which shows interpersonal skills. You, my darling, and me also have that ability. So if you are behaving in a certain way and you see that it's either getting you or not getting you the things that you want, it's time to think about it. In your relationship, just as in my relationship, when my late husband sat me down and said, no, this is no longer acceptable. It is not okay for you to talk like this. It is not okay for you to, lose your ever loving mind because you're upset and you don't know how to express your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions are completely disingenuous with your person. And this behavior must be corrected because it's incredibly disrespectful to myself and also to our relationship. Girl, I went and learned those skills. That is why understanding self-reflection, learn how to process yourself, learning how to show up for yourself, because self-mastery is paramount in how you express yourself, how you show up for yourself, how you love yourself, and then how you show up for others. It helped me gain relationship wisdom. And that one interaction helped me understand that how I engage with the ones I love affects them and it affects myself. And I have carried that piece of information, went to therapy and got the skills to improve how I communicate with myself, recognize why I was being so reactive in my relationships, and learn the skills to self-assess, get myself centered, calm down, and then respond in my conflicts or in disagreements so that it becomes solution focused. Because every time we have these emotional reactions, that's a trigger. And it has everything to do with you and not so much to do with the situation. The situation is just amplifying something you already feel within yourself. So I love this little buzzword that's going on about if he wanted to, he would, because it's true. And also, if you wanted to, you would too, because it helps you understand that you, all of us as women, we're able to observe our partners. We're able to recognize what they like, what they don't like, what they want, what they don't want. And sometimes we morph to such a degree in order to be able to appreciate that. And morphing in a degree is not so good. However, learning how to communicate effectively, to express your wants, your needs, your desires, and state a boundary comes with self-mastery. And that always improves your relationship wisdom. And it always amplifies how conscientious you live your life. I trust this little bit of information helps you because it's definitely helped me. And that is one of the things that I love about feminine spaces is sharing the wisdom that I've experienced in myself with you. Pussily Puss.